I play hockey because it's all I've ever known. It's all I've ever wanted to do.
Honestly, it's the one constant besides my family and life that's always been there.
It's something that's given me structure in my life.
You just feel at home when you're on the ice.
I can get away from everything else when I'm on the ice, not thinking about anything else.
Hockey is the greatest sport in the world. Since day one that I stepped on that ice, I've always loved it.
Waking up every morning and knowing I have an opportunity to go to the rink and just play a game that I just love to play. It's what I want to do for as long as I can.
It's the most fun I have in my life. It really is.
The Cincinnati Cyclones begin their season in 5 days. As the coaches and players continue to practice at US Bank Arena, the group is starting to gel into the team that will open their season on October the 19th.
We've got a lot of good people, a lot of good personalities. I think the guys get along very well together. Mike Embach, he's very vocal. Dan Eves is a very intelligent person, and guys look up to him because they've been here before. Dave McDonald, Chris Reed, those guys, they've had success at this level and played for this organization, so I think a lot of those guys have looked up to them for advice and kind of help them through camp here.
I know when I was a rookie, it was hard to get in a pro locker room and try to make your way through everybody and then be accepted by everybody. So I like to talk to them, make sure they're comfortable. And if you're comfortable off the ice, it shows up on the ice too.
That's a great thing for these guys, especially the new guys coming in that maybe first year or are coming just to a new organization, a new city, to have somebody there being nice and friendly and getting them on board right away.
We had a great team last year, and the new guys are looking really, really good too. So it's going to be an exciting team to watch, I think.
One great surprise was Brett Weissoppel. He played last year in France and coming in to be a first-year pro in the ECHL. He's doing a great job, and the exhibition games he stepped up offensively and defensively. So I think he's one guy that everybody should be looking for this year.
The first couple of days are usually the hardest, coming back, getting in shape and getting on the ice.
Just getting to know the boys, hard practices, hanging out with them after for lunch and dinner, and just really getting to know them and the coaching staff.
Pretty excited. I like the daily, what some guys would call a grind. I like going to the rink every day. I like getting at all the guys every day and having them get angry at me.
We're sort of getting into systems, control breakouts, defensive zone, offensive zone, power. I'm sure we'll get into some power play and penalty killing, getting our feet under us and just trying to get some chemistry built with the forwards and the deep pairings.
You can't be 100% prepared for everything, but you can do your best, so I'm just trying to get ready this week.
You can tell there's kind of that feel in the locker room of, guys getting anxious and guys getting ready to play, and that shows in practice. Guys are a bit hungrier and going a little harder.
We went out early and did some D calls for the goalies, worked on rims and making the right plays to make life easy on the D and help them get out of the zone easier. Did some breakout regroups, and then we did some flow drills, just lots of pucks, lots of shots on net. And last we did a game to finish off the day, which was it was fun. Just a quick little and tight 3-on-1 drill, which was a lot of pucks, a lot of goals, so it was fun.
They've been tough, but they've been good practices. I feel like the coaches know what we need, and they've been good so far.
It's F1, you drop it, cut across. The D-man comes back, gets it, hits him. D, after you make that pass, come back this side. So you made the pass over here, come back this side, get F2's puck. You're hitting F2 on the other side. So F2, you're going around, you drop it, cut across the blue, in behind F1. You're getting the second pass. After you make that second pass, D, follow up to the blue, get a puck, walk across, shot. Follow up, get a puck, walk across, shot. All right?
$5, somebody screws it up.
Now we'll start on a whistle.
After Tuesday's long practice, forward Mike Embach helped to organize Magazine Boy, a team game to add a little bit of fun to the workout.
I knew you were only going to try against me. It's good effort. Hey, the only guy. Nice effort. Next one's coming to your throat.
We set up pucks inside the hash marks. We got to shoot from in there, and everybody goes. We go in numerical order. And the last guy to score has to buy magazines for the stalls in the bathroom. So we got 5 stalls, so if you lose, it probably costs you about $20 because you got to fill them up so the boys have some reading material in the morning. Maxim, GQ, Men's Health. Some of the guys love to gossip, the People and Us Weekly and all that stuff. I don't know. So a little more educated magazines are better, but those are fine.
Sometimes you throw different things in. I've seen teams before do like a mustache man, where if you lose, you gotta grow your mustache for a month and different things. Any kind of stuff like that's just good team camaraderie and
gets everybody together, joke around, and just brings guys together in a different kind of way.
When we go on the road sometimes, they have the cleaning crew come in and clean up our locker room, and they sometimes throw stuff away. So sometimes we played a little bit more often than we'd like, but probably once a month, maybe once every 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think I went a couple rounds before I got out. Thank God a couple guys were struggling. It was a lot of fun. We get the coaches involved, and then we get everybody out there. It's always a great time.
Who ended up winning or losing?
Losing, Dave McDonald. Always funny when a vet loses.
I hit the net on my first one, the flick.
No, it missed, right? I promise.
It did my flick?
No. It almost didn't even get to the goal line.
We used to play orange lemon in juniors. Winner gets an orange and losers got to eat a lemon. That was brutal. But now usually we just play juice boy if we can find a goalie who's not too tired at the end. And we just do the same idea, like 2 or 3 pucks. You got to shoot the first one, and then you can deke or shoot the second, and the third is the same. It's a wild card, if you will. And the guy who's the last one to score has to get juice for everybody, bringing everyone a Gatorade cup. I haven't lost in a while, actually. The last time Simon lost was good. That's always funny, getting juice from the coach.
Upon returning to the locker room, both Simon and McDonald found a surprising guest. Former Cyclones head coach Jared Scaldi had stopped by for a visit.
Scalds came back, he had a day off, so he came back. So it's always good to see him. And for me, it's nice to be able to lean on him, being so recently removed, and getting advice from him, and obviously seeing his son skate, who loves the hockey. So anytime you get to see an old friend at the rink, it's a good time.
They have obviously a bit of a history together, playing in Orlando, and they've stayed in close touch. So getting to know Benny pretty well, and obviously I have a great relationship with Jared. So getting the two of them in there, the three of us bantering back and forth, is it's a lot of fun. You know, it's a great atmosphere to have those two in there, and the things to talk about it's definitely a funny time. But at the same time, for me, sitting back and listening to them talk about hockey, I learn a lot, and I'm just continuing to try to learn off both of them. So having them in, it was a bit of a surprise, but at the same time, no, it was great. It's a great time.
Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Gather together with friends and family, it's Skyline time. Wholesome, hearty food and a taste that's so divine. Together, at last, it's Skyline time.
Shop the King's Auto Mall just off I-71, where McCluskey Chevrolet guarantees to beat any manufacturer's price, or we'll pay you $500. Fords to Toyotas, Hondas to Hyundais. Just click CompareChevy.com to instantly see how every manufacturer stacks up against Chevy. Get all of the facts, then get the $500 McCluskey Best Price Promise. Complimentary 24-hour test drives at CompareChevy.com.
The Cincinnati Cyclones dropped the puck on the 2013-14 season in just a few days. And as the team continues to prepare, the players take a moment to remove their helmets and step in front of the camera for picture day.
It kind of snuck up on me. I meant to get a haircut. I was gonna show up with something really classy, but it's what you got.
Some guys don't even have all their teeth, so maybe they shy away from it a little bit more, but I mean, it's okay for me.
Of course, picture day shows off a few bumps and bruises that the players have earned throughout this training camp, as well as their entire career.
You know, I've been pretty lucky with injuries, actually. Probably the worst one that I've ever gotten was I broke my collarbone my sophomore year of high school. That one didn't feel too good.
Last year I was injured quite a bit. I broke my collarbone in preseason, and then at the end of the year, before our conference finals, I broke my wrist.
I actually ruptured my spleen when I was like 13, I think.
I've got a scar on my shoulder right here and a couple pin placements on my hands.
I had an ankle injury. I had to get a plate and 6 screws.
A separated shoulder and broken wrist.
Nicks and cuts and scrapes, a couple broken noses here and there if you couldn't tell.
Tore my shoulder,
Grind pull, stuff like that.
I think I've had probably over 100 stitches in my face.
I had to get my jaw wired shut.
The toughest injury by far was tearing my labrum in my right hip.
Fractured my collarbone when I was in junior. I needed surgery for it.
I guess I got one right in the middle of my forehead. It's kind of starting to go away when I was 4 years old. I ran into the corner of a table, but that's not hockey related.
I had something called compartment syndrome. I had to sit in the hospital for about a month, and they had to do 2 surgeries to correct the issues. Never saw the NHL after that, so it was a little bit of a game changer for me, but you deal with it, and I was fortunate to still play hockey after that.
Concussions, they're brutal. Still, they linger.
You know when you're hurt, like your collarbone, they tell you, all right, like in 8 weeks, you'll feel better, and then it does, but in a concussion, it's frustrating because you think you're good, and then 10 minutes later, you have like headaches.
I have 2. One in juniors, and then I got one my first year pro, and I got crushed by Fletcher. You never saw that on YouTube? No. Good.
I got stepped on when I was a freshman in high school and cut a tendon going down to my toes. And a couple months later, I had to have surgery on it to repair it. Didn't even catch it right away. I got stepped on, got sewed back up. 3 months later, I went to an orthopedic surgeon because my ankle was still swollen, and they told me my tendon was cut.
Last year was just a melee. That was the only year I've ever been hurt so many times in my life. Fractured lower lumbar in my back, a broken hamate in my left hand, got a gash on my face here. And then as soon as I came back from that, I got 4 tendons severed in my wrist. You know, I was just talking to a few of the boys who've been hurt for 3 or 4 days right now, and they've been telling me that they're dying too, and I'm like, bud, imagine trying to be out for 2 months, 3 months. It just kills you. Knock on wood, nothing happens this year.
The little bumps and bruises tend to catch up with you, and I seem to have a little bit of those pretty much every day. So.
Some injuries are accidental, while others could be considered provoked.
I like to run my mouth on the ice a little bit. I don't know why I do, but they immediately react because I'm a French guy and we're known not to be really liked around the league. I don't know why, we're really lovable people. Sometimes it gets me in trouble and you have to get into fights.
No, I wouldn't like to consider myself a fighter, but you know, push comes to shove and I don't like what someone does or they put me over the tipping point. I've been known to have a little bit of temper, and my mom will definitely back that one up.
My fuse is a little bit longer than other guys, Burkholz, McFadden.
I wouldn't say at all that I would label myself a fighter, but you know, I'm not afraid to stand up for a teammate if something has to be done.
One fight in the career, and he was my size. If you can find somebody my size, I'll go. If not, I'm walking away.
I won't shy away from it.
I'd rather be on the ice for the 5 minutes and try and score a goal.
I mix it up a little bit, but I'm not a big fan of fighting. If I have to, I have to.
I don't know too many guys that want to go out and get in a fight, but just seemed that every time I was on the ice, maybe someone took a cheap shot at somebody, and just in my own mind, I don't like when someone does that to my teammates. So I'll try to step in and do what I can.
We try and play a game where we just benefit from being on the power play and drawing the dumb guys on the other team into getting us the open space and the extra time and score some goals.
I think it's one of those things where you just kind of have to do it and figure it out as you go along.
Sometimes fights just happen just for the hell of it. Like guys will just want to maybe charge their team up, change the momentum. What I would tend to get in is just heat of the moment, battle in front, or somebody takes a run at one of your guys. That's the kind of fighting that more people think belong in hockey rather than just 2 guys fighting just for the hell of it. But, it's part of the game.
There are a number of different reasons the players drop the gloves.
One of our guys kind of got cheap shotted, so I just jumped in, and it's not a position I find myself in too often.
You don't really remember it. It's just sort of, you just get a boost of adrenaline and you don't really feel anything.
I got a double arm to the face from Liambus, and he busted my visor off my nose, so I was bleeding from that. And then got up and a line brawl ensued, and I didn't know who hit me. So I just grabbed Luch, and him and I ended up fighting. There was like 5 fights, and then it turned out it wasn't even Luch who hit me. And I was bleeding from my helmet breaking on my face. I ended up on top. I flipped him up over. I was like, are we done here? Like, how's my face look? He's like, man, you don't look good. I was like, yeah, I can tell. My visor just shattered off my nose. The Cincinnati video guy decided to put my zoomed in face right up on the video screen. I'm just leaking blood. And I come here next year, and all the same guys are back too. So it was like, yeah, hey, remember that fight? Like, yeah, everyone, the whole first week I was here, that's all they talked about.
I hit a guy at the blue line, and he went offside, and then one of their guys came up to me and was like, told me I'd been running around all game. The puck went in our zone, and Reeder flicked up a puck in the air, and I sensed him on my back, and as soon as I turned, I didn't even know where the puck was. He just smoked me, and I had enough, and I told him, like, let's go, and he was waiting for it, and then as soon as he went, then all hell broke loose.
What's your record?
1-0. Yeah, I don't know if the guy sees this interview. He may not think so.
Shop the Kings Auto Mall just off I-71, where McCluskey Chevrolet guarantees to beat any manufacturer's price, or we'll pay you $500. Fords to Toyotas, Hondas to Hyundais. Just click CompareChevy.com to instantly see how every manufacturer stacks up against Chevy. Get all of the facts, then get the $500 McCluskey Best Price Promise. Complimentary 24-hour test drives at CompareChevy.com.
Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Gather together with friends and family, it's Skyline time. Wholesome, hearty food and a taste that's so divine. Together, at last, it's Skyline time.
The Cincinnati Cyclones are closing in on the start of the regular season, and as the roster solidifies, players examine who will tend the net this year.
I have never put on the goalie gear, ever. Even if it's drop-in, messing around, off the ice, like shinny hockey we used to play as kids, like on our knees, I'm never the goalie.
I used to always wanted to be a goalie when I was young. Like I would always, like even on like outside, like playing in the street, I would be the goalie all the time. And then I tried a couple times and I was awful.
I know how hard I can shoot, and I know how hard a lot of other guys on the team can shoot, which is a lot harder than I can. So there's no way I'd play goalie at this level.
I don't think that sounds appealing at all, standing in the cage while guys fire pucks at you. That's not something I would want to do, I don't think.
After the season in college, a couple times I've thrown on the pads, but one time I took a puck right above the knee, and so after that I retired.
I don't know how those guys do it. I don't want to take slap shots in the face 100 miles an hour. Like, that can't be fun.
I wanted to play goalie when I was a kid. My dad wouldn't let me. He made me play forward. Still a little bitter about it.
The rumor is that goalies have a couple screws loose in their head, so I like to think that I don't.
Someone's got to do it, I guess.
I played goalie once back when I was about 6 years old in house league, and I let 7 goals in and never played again after that.
You got to be a special person to play goalie.
I've actually dabbled. I've won a net twice in goalie for practice, and I wasn't too sturdy on my feet.
Those pucks are too fast and I am too slow.
I think I'm too normal for that position.
There'd be a lot to shoot at if I played goalie. I guess I could do it. I mean, Medor's not that big, and he's pretty good.
In my mind, they're the craziest people. I don't know how they stand in front of some of these guys' shots, because I don't even like standing in front of half of their shots, because they don't know where they're going. God forbid I do, standing there and I got to tip it or something.
I played goalie when I was little a few times. I will say I'm 3-0 lifetime as a goalie. I will also add that I'm scared of the puck when I played goalie.
They're not tough enough to play goalie.
As an affiliate of the NHL's Nashville Predators and Florida Panthers, players are often called up and sent down. But as the Cyclones prepare for their opening night, Scott Darling and Rob Medor are set to tend the pipes.
They both played at the highest level there is, and I think that's one thing that is consistent between the both of them. They come and they bring that NHL mentality, and the fact that they prepare well for games, they prepare well on the ice, off the ice, in between periods. They see the game very well.
I started playing forward when I was 3. I was very bad at forward, so my dad was a goalie, and I switched over to goalie at 5, so playing goalie for 19 years. Once you get to this level, every goalie is a good goalie. All of us at our best are world-class goaltenders, but it depends how often you can bring it.
And there's always something you can work on. Steve Shields is the goalie development guy in Florida, and we, working with him for essentially 5 weeks before we came here, we kind of laid out some goals that we felt would help me be at my best, and which obviously ends up helping the team. I try and get out there and work on a few skills before practice, and then in practice when things aren't at my end, try and work on a few movement drills, because the smallest details end up making the biggest difference for goalies.
I never like letting goals in, but you have to understand that it's going to happen. So you can't get too worked up about letting pucks in the net, because that's unfortunately part of the job. But if it was a good goal, and I can just let it go and just move forward. But if I let in a softie, which I try not to do very often, I kind of got to give myself a pep talk to get back into it.
I'm not a big guy, so everything I do is about maximizing the size that I have. Basically, the keys to my game are movement. Like, I'm fairly quick at moving, but that means nothing. I just have to make sure I'm getting my feet set. It's move, set my feet, shot, move, set my feet, shot. So it's adding control. My game should be about control, despite the fact that I have to play a little faster than maybe a bigger guy.
The one thing with Scott Darling and Rob Medor is that they're very vocal with the D, and I think that all over the ice there, not just on the goalie calls, but on 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, even in zone, defensive zone, it's important for them to talk the puck out as much as the other 5 guys on the ice. And if you can get a goaltender who's vocal and working in that aspect, it makes the whole game a lot easier.
I'm always yelling. I'm always saying something. It's not always positive. So I get on their nerves, and then they yell back at me. We're always getting on each other, but I try and help the pace of practice by, being intense.
Hockey fans are notorious for heckling the opposing goalie, but what exactly do they hear from the crowd?
I guess it depends a little bit on the rink. In college, there were a few rinks where the fans were right on top of you, and you heard every word. Somehow I don't know if it's Facebook or what, but they know everything about your family and your girlfriend and, what you had for dinner last night. So I got some really strange messages leading up to games on Facebook, and then they followed that up with some funny comments. If anything was going through my head at that time, it was, how do you know that? Like, how do you get a life? But no, I like it. It's a fun part of the game. It's nice to have the fans into it. It's a lot better than having empty seats.
After a few days of tough practices and last week's trip to Alaska, the coaching staff decided to give the team a day off on Wednesday.
Matt and I both talked to probably 4 or 5 players, and kind of the common consensus was that their legs were a little bit tired and tight, and a lot of the catch-up still from Alaska. So I just thought it was good to bring them in. They could get a little bike in, a little sweat, stretch, get the treatment that they needed, and then get out, kind of recharge, regroup. It's always tough as a player too when you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days of practice and then a game. So if you can try and break it up a little bit, and that was our idea behind it. When you go that many days in a row and you're harping and yelling at them for 5 days, you're going to lose their kind of attention span there. So I thought to give them that day off in the long run would pay off.
We had a couple guys just getting back from a few minor injuries that had a couple days off. So we had everybody else who've been going nonstop to take the time off. But those guys, we got out there and did a little extra. It's just good to preparation for coming up Saturday's game. It was just a lot of footwork stuff. We got some shots for the goalie out there. Mostly just quick feet stuff, releasing the shot pretty much right after the pylons, and just working on a little bit of different maneuvers.
With the off day, players had a moment to reflect on some of their favorite hockey memories.
It was unbelievable. Any time that you can win a championship in any league, anytime, if it's 3-on-3 tournament in the summer with your buddies, anytime you win, that's ultimately why you go in to play a sport.
It was so loud in here, and then when we won the countdown, like from 10 to 0, you have chills in your body, and then like being in the locker room celebrating with your teammate, it's something that you can't really describe.
We were lucky. We had almost 13,000 people here, and it was exciting. It was a very loud building, and to hold that Kelly Cup was a great time for me.
Last year, I think when we were making our run, we talked a lot about like what it's like, what it takes.
The feeling that you have winning a championship is irreplaceable. Playing these leagues, so obviously if it can be duplicated. We have a pretty good squad here, so I hope that is obtainable.
To make it to that point of your career where you can win a championship, whether it be your first year or your 10th year, anytime you can win a championship and in this league, and fortunate in this building, but anytime in any league, I think is something that guys always want to do.
Next time on Cincinnati Cyclones Making the Cut.
We're getting yelled at.
Black, down and back. Let's go. So that hard? Let's try it again now. Let's try it again.
Fun starts tomorrow. You ready to go? Start thinking about it tonight, all right? Yeah. Good job today. Good job today.
I don't know, Paul Crowder kind of has a muffin. When he comes down, I can time that shot with the calendar. So that's kind of it's a waste of my energy. Everybody else is pretty good. Luch likes to shoot him up in my neck region, so that's a lot of fun for me. Especially when my neck's 2 feet over the crossbar, So we're gonna work on that.
I'm gonna scare you first, and then I'm gonna put it in.